Well, welcome everybody. It's Wednesday, 7 o'clock. What does that mean? 76 Capital Leadership Series, another one. And we have a great guest tonight. Really excited to bring on the Director of Marketing from Nerd Street Gamers, Paige Funk. Paige, welcome to the 76 Capital Leadership Series.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And I'm so excited from so many different levels because tonight we're going to talk about esports. And I've gotten a lot of questions from a lot of different people about, what types of things is 76 Capital investing within the esports area? Some people are like, what is esports? Is esports a sport? What's this video game thing all about? So we're going to get into all that tonight. And most importantly, we're going to get a really great chance to meet someone who has been a professional in the sports industry for a number of years, and how you've transformed your career into going over to the esports world. So, Paige, with that kind of a setup, as someone who grew up in the Philly area and in the down at the Jersey Shore area, is that right?
Correct.
Were you a Philly fan growing up? Is it a sports fan?
Yeah, all Philly sports. I grew up in Longport, New Jersey, small town, right by Margate and Ocean City at the shore, but frequented Philly often for shopping. King of Prussia Mall was high up there, as well as Phillies games, Eagles games, Sixers games, you name it.
Well, you made my partner John Powell really happy. I'm sure he's watching. We talk about the King of Prussia Mall. He's very happy when you talk about that. Good job. You must be a marketer or something.
I am born and bred marketing guru.
So Longport, New Jersey. So after high school there, what happened next?
Yeah, so I was an athlete since day one. My whole family is a family of rowers. So at about age 5, I was doing rowing camps right in Ventnor City, New Jersey. And so I was recruited from high school to attend San Diego State University. Big jump. I was getting recruited to several schools, and my poor parents, the minute I got to San Diego, I called my dad on his cell phone. I said, "This is it, Dad. I'm going to San Diego. You guys can come visit. Plan on coming out here often." So I got recruited to San Diego State for their rowing team, and was actually captain my sophomore year.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. I mean, to go from were you I think about my time growing up and being in Ventnor and Margate and always looking out at people rowing. I'm like, I'm not sure I could really do this or whatever, but it's amazing. You're able to take it from not just doing it, but also then becoming the captain of your team in, all the way across the country in San Diego. That's amazing. And so after college, what happened next?
Yeah, so after my sophomore year, I wanted to kind of pivot from focusing on athletics to focusing on what I would be doing after college. I knew rowing wouldn't carry me through a career. It's not that popular of a sport, so you're not getting NFL and NBA salaries in it. So after my sophomore year, I actually started interning for our athletics department. I interned in marketing and ticket sales. So we did everything from season ticket holder customer service to activations at basketball games or at our football games. We even had the flexibility to run some of the marketing campaigns for volleyball. And San Diego State did a really good job of kind of covering all aspects of what a sports career could look like and the different elements of it, and giving us freedom to experiment different things. In college, it would be as simple as, let's try to see how a sunglasses giveaway does and putting our partner on them for a volleyball game, or even laying the t-shirts out across a stadium, which is a very tedious job, but it really took you through all elements of what a sports career could look like.
So that's amazing. I mean, to have that opportunity, to be able to be that creative, and we'll get into some real serious creativity in a second. But after doing that, you did some pretty interesting things within the professional sports world.
Yeah, absolutely. So my first grown-up job out of college was with the 76ers. I was in ticket sales for them. And actually, it's an interesting story because within my first 3 months at the Sixers, which the primary job there was to cold call and sell tickets. And it just so happened that I cold called somebody. Back then, data wasn't as clean as what you get now. So you're calling a John Smith, and you don't know if John Smith is the CEO of a really large company or if John Smith is your neighbor next door. You really have no idea. And who I ended up calling within my first 3 months would be my future boss at MLB.
Wow. Was his name John Smith?
It was not. And so I called him, he picked up, and you're doing the exploration questions, trying to see if they are a big Sixers fan, if they've been to games in the past. And I found out that he also worked in sports. Sports is a very small world. And rather than trying to sell to him, I decided to pivot the call and build a relationship with him. So him and I would keep in touch once every few months. I'd hook him up with Sixers tickets now and again. He'd hook me up with Phillies tickets now and again. And from that learning element, I found out within marketing what he does from MLB, and he was with MLB Advanced Media. I wanted to pivot my career from sales into more of a marketing role. And when I was really ready to make the jump, he said, we'll create a position for you, come up to New York and we'll make you a marketing coordinator up here. So that's just one, I guess, showcase of how much networking truly works. I mean, obviously there's an element of being in the right place at the right time. But from one cold call, I found, my journey for the next 4 years through marketing with MLB Advanced Media.
Wow. So, we're really excited tonight to have Paige Funk, the Director of Marketing, on our 76 Capital Leadership Series. And we're at this stage in her life, working at MLB Advanced Media, and you're working there in the media, in the marketing side of the world. And then, how did you go from the world of Major League Baseball, one of the most traditional sports out there, to this incredible shift to the world of esports?
Yeah, so I was following the esports movement. A lot of media was covering at the time. I followed it very closely. And actually, so Nerd Street Gamers Chief Operating Officer, Rob Johnson, he was in the Chief Marketing Officer role at the time. And him and I, through networking, he was at the Flyers when I was at the Sixers, and he's also a rower. So worlds colliding, and Rob and I were catching up. And again, I was at a point where I crave challenges. I crave new experiences. I crave learning. And he was talking to me about Nerd Street, all things Nerd Street, their growth plans. The
cool jacket you're wearing?
Yes. The Nerd Street. So he talked to me about it, and I instantly was interested. Him and I met several times because it is a true startup. So I had a ton of questions. He obviously wanted to learn about my experience and what I could bring to the table and what value add I could have for the organization. And through a few months of conversations, we were ready to jump right into it. And that's how I got the position as marketing director.
So, maybe this is a really good time to share with everybody, what really is Nerd Street? What does the company do? And what's one of the things that we at 76 Capital, as being, the first investor in the company, and one of the big things that we love about the company is the people, right? And all the people that are involved and the overall mission of the business. So if you could share with everybody what Nerd Street's all about, that we'd really appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. So Nerd Street Gamers is an esports infrastructure company. The pillars we operate off of are opportunity, integrity, and accessibility. So our primary goal, we own and operate local host facilities, which are esports facilities, with the goal of lowering the barrier of entry into esports. Esports is interesting in that, you compare it to traditional sports where finding a soccer ball or a basketball, finding leagues to participate in, finding opportunities to get coached are pretty accessible and easy to come across. Whereas with Nerd Street Gamers, there's obviously very expensive equipment you need to have, and the equipment directly affects your capabilities in competing. So what we want to do is make esports accessible to all people. We host tournaments now. We've obviously pivoted online, which I know we'll get to shortly. But yeah, esports is the name of the game, and what we're trying to do is lower the barrier entry and get more people to participate.
So also, the thing about esports is that, a lot of people are they hear about this, and, now, you can actually, with what's happening with COVID-19 right now, I mean, esports is everywhere. You turn on ESPN and you can watch, an esports tournament or a game, which, by the way, I have to give you, congratulations on what Nerd Street just did. I'd love, maybe you can share what just happened on esports.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so we've been involved in a lot of partnerships and a lot of tournaments as of late. With ESPN, they hosted a celebrity Madden tournament and selected Nerd Street gamers to do the broadcast behind it. Our team was behind the scenes for about a week, all hours of all days, on with celebrities. And there's obviously a lot of technology involved there of getting access to these celebrities' cameras, making sure they're set up with the right software, all from, remote locations. So you're on with Snoop Dogg trying to walk him through downloading software and positioning his camera and getting the right voice.
Wait, hold on. Wait. You download. Wait, you got me here. Hold on. You're talking to Snoop Dogg. He was one of the competitors.
He was. I unfortunately did not get to directly talk to Snoop Dogg, but our team members with the production team were working hands-on with these guys. And
he was in the finals, I saw.
Yep. Yeah, he did really well, which I was surprised by, but he's a Madden guy.
That's amazing. So, a lot of people think about from the esports perspective is it's the games are sports games, right? A lot of and there are, like, there's Madden and FIFA and the fact that there are games that are like NBA 2K as well, right? That are sports games, but that are also, video games. But some of the most popular games are non-sports games. Right. So what are some of those games, and what are some of the things that that you do at Nerd Street around some of those things?
Yeah, absolutely. So Nerd Street Gamers, and one of the best parts about being a part of it is that we're game agnostic, which essentially means we cover tournaments and events for all games. One night we might be having a Fortnite tournament, the next we have Valorant. We have fighting game community events. We have Smash events. We have Call of Duty events. And each one of those communities is extremely different. Esports covers everything that is competitive gaming. And each one of those games is set up differently in different competitive aspects. One of the most popular games right now is actually Valorant, which this past weekend we did a tournament in partnership with T1 for a Valorant Invitational. And it had some of the best and biggest names in esports who have actually pivoted from the games they were with. So names like Sinatra, who was huge in Overwatch, announced, I believe last week, that he was leaving Overwatch to play this new game, Valorant. And that's a really exciting thing about esports, is that as technology continues to evolve and as capabilities within games continue to evolve, a new game can come out of what seems like nowhere and take the whole industry by storm.
It's really incredible. I mean, you don't typically see a professional athlete go from one sport to the other. I mean, there was, Deion Sanders, you have Michael Jordan, who played a little baseball, right? But most of the time, you don't see what happens. And Sinatra, who was on the San Francisco Shock, and it was an Overwatch player, right? And then jumps over and is now in Valorant, which is really amazing to see, and how that happens. And that's really, a lot of times we talk about the professional level of esports, and but a lot of the things that what Nerd Street and what you do is on the amateur side of things, which works really well. I mean, you mentioned T1, and that's one of the things I wanted to get into, was also the partnership that we have with Comcast. And I'd love to hear more about your thoughts about what's that been like working with Comcast, such a large company that now with Tucker Roberts and Joe Marsh, and how they've really come in and taken the esports world by storm.
It has been absolutely incredible. The dynamic we have with them, who are more in the professional scene, and with our focus being on the amateur side, has allowed us to create these very rare opportunities for amateur gamers to compete alongside their heroes. You know what I mean? It would be like joining a tournament with Michael Jordan. So for instance, this past weekend, we on Saturday and Sunday had these amateur opens where anybody could enter. And each day the winning team had an entry into the invitational. So, and like I said, it's a new game, so it's really anybody's shot. You know what I mean? Obviously, there's certain skills you develop within gaming, whether you're a really good shooter or you're really good at strategy, but it gets close to an even playing field with people trying to adapt to new games and how each game is played. So, in the partnership with T1, we came together, and T1 has a slew of incredible players that they work with. They invited some of the biggest names in esports, like Shroud, for instance, to come on, and we were able to give somebody who would probably never have the opportunity to compete alongside these guys to have a shot to compete in this 8-team invitational.
Yeah, I saw John Fazio's tweet over the weekend. John is the CEO of Nerd Street Gamers, and he said, "I can't believe this. I've been watching Shroud online for all these years, and now he's playing in one of our tournaments."
Yeah, it really is a dream, and having those strategic partners and partners that also see the vision and the common goal of just growing this industry and making it more mainstream, and not closing it. We want it to be an open industry where anybody can access it. Anybody with a passion for gaming can be a part of it, can participate, and can have these opportunities to not only just participate, but participate alongside some of these influencers and celebrities.
Yeah, I mean, and that's so we talk about that's the incredible partnership that we have with Comcast, but then at the same time, we also have this other great partnership with Five Below, and talk about some of the things that are happening coming down in the future, and what some of the plans are, and why would an esports company partner with a retailer that has 900 stores across the country? What's the connection there?
Yeah, absolutely. So Five Below, what we are doing is going to be building local hosts, our esports facilities adjacent to the Five Below store. Their overall core mission is to make products more accessible to a different demographic that might not be shopping at luxury stores. Our goal is to make esports more accessible and affordable to people that are passionate about it. Not only that, but we also have a similar target demographic for who our customers are. During this time, obviously with COVID, a lot has been put on hold, but I will say silver linings out of every bad experience is that we are really diving into what the customer experience is going to look like when they walk into a facility, what the design should be, what the aesthetics should be. We were able to really perfect every single one of these details because in this time where we're not actively building, we're able to look into this more in depth.
That's great. It's great to hear. I want to jump back to one of the things you were saying earlier. Your opportunity to work with celebrities and different types of things. And so there's one specific celebrity that is that we work really closely with, which is Emanuel Sanders. Maybe you can talk a little about the relationship that he has with Nerd Street and how special that is.
Yeah, so he is one of our brand ambassadors and a huge supporter of Nerd Street Gamers from the beginning. He obviously was with Denver, and we have a facility in Denver. But now with these online tournaments, it's opened us up to a whole new audience. Him going to New Orleans in the near future, and we recently did an Apex tournament where, again, anybody could sign up within one of the filled slots to compete against Emanuel Sanders, which is a huge name in the NFL. So working with him has been absolutely incredible. He's a huge advocate for us. He even had custom cleats made during last year when the Niners were doing really well. And just gauging opportunities like that where, people, sometimes esports can be associated with people that aren't traditional athletes, and that's not the case at all. There's a huge overlap, and gaming is cool, and a lot of people's heroes, a lot of these big celebrities are huge gamers, and it's been so refreshing and so fun to see the transition of gaming being something that was once shunned. You're doing it in your parents' basement, to now it being super popular and seeing how many people are actually involved in it.
Well, that's a super point, and I want to get to that. I want to also welcome in a number of people I've seen who've just joined the stream to our 76 Capital Leadership Series. Our special guest tonight is the Director of Marketing from Nerd Street Gamers, Paige Funk. And this is a really interesting thing that you were just touching on, is that a lot of people are not aware of the opportunities around esports and what you can potentially do. And I think one of the things that is really shocks a lot of people is that there's a collegiate level of esports. You want to talk a little bit about that, and how do you even get there?
Yeah, absolutely. So esports in the college scene has seen tremendous growth over the past few years. You have universities like Harrisburg leading the way. Their esports organization and club is very advanced, and they recruit for it. You can get scholarships in it. You see universities now building team rooms, and that's similar to our partnership with Rowan University, where they want a local host on their campus, because not only does it fulfill their demand for their team and their club, but they have all these students coming in who all love to game and want to do it in a social environment. So I think you'll continue to see esports grow across the college scene. You'll see more advanced leagues, more structured leagues, and it'll be similar to what we see with college basketball and college football one day.
Yeah, I think it's an amazing point, and I want to make sure that we get it again, right? I mean, you talked about getting a scholarship for playing video games to go to college. So I try to explain that to a lot of people, and I tell them that there's you have over 200 colleges now that are offering scholarships. And we talk about Harrisburg University, you mentioned. I mean, Harrisburg University is like Alabama or Clemson when it comes to college football in the esports world. It's amazing. It's really incredible. And so, and that's, I think, one of the things that's really special about Nerd Street Gamers is that it's a great training ground for you to be able to start your career, and then you can get recruited and go on and get a scholarship and potentially play in college, and who knows what happens after that. And there is a professional level as well. Maybe that's a part that also, I mean, it's like would talk about kind of some of the amount of money some of these players are making, as well as they're getting sponsorships and things like that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So the prize pots you'll see, range from one of our tournaments, which will be maybe 1,000, 2,000. The partnership and invitational we did with T1 had a $25,000 prize pot. And then at the professional level, you'll see it in the tens of millions of dollars. These players are in regimens similar to traditional athletes, where, they have team doctors, they have very rigorous training schedules, they're eating healthy. They're taking care of their bodies just like traditional athletes would, to make sure they're performing at the highest level.
So we wanted to really touch on another interesting part that so you joined Nerd Street Gamers in July of last year, and the company was still pretty small. It was John Fazio, and you mentioned Rob Johnson. I think Pete Powell was coming in around that time. Danny Harvith had been there for a while. And so what's it been like building a startup basically in a startup industry? What has that been like for you after coming from like Major League Baseball at such a big level?
It's fast. That's the best word I can use to describe it. But it's been incredible and incredibly rewarding. With any startup, you see everything moving quickly, and you also get to see where your hard work goes. You know what I mean? You get to see the fruits of everything you're putting into it. In terms of the expansion of staff and employees, it's been so cool to work for an organization that really strives to include diversity in who we're bringing in. We've brought in tremendous talent from across the board, both people that are endemic in esports and people that bring different views. For instance, our senior director of events, Ben Schlegel, came from Wells Fargo Center. So he was able to add, thought and leadership in terms of what grander events would look like, everything from logistics of security and the experience of spectators. And it's been extremely, extremely cool to see.
Yeah, I mean, maybe take people a little deeper on that. I mean, it's been incredible to watch Ben, and in the fact that when you run these big tournaments, it's not just a bunch of kids playing on computers, right? I mean, there's a lot more that goes into it.
Yeah, absolutely. So the Fusion homestand is a great example of that. Back in February, it took place at the Met here in Philadelphia. And for an event like that and the execution that goes behind it, Nerd Street Gamers partnered with the Fusion. We were responsible for the in-venue experience. And an in-venue experience ranges from everything to VIPs and providing gifts from them. It's the experience you get when you walk into the stadium and, you know, you see the signage and the balloons and the digital screens. So if you're getting a soda, you can also still be watching the action on stage. And not even that, but also making sure that the screens have a live feed from what's happening on the stage. We had in-house talent. We had Golden Boy there. So you're queuing up his mic and you're in his ear telling him when a match is going to begin, when it's going to end, player stats similar to traditional sports. We did fan experiences with free Overwatch play on one of the sides. So with that, you know, you're bringing in internet, you're bringing in wires, you're bringing in covers for the wires and signage from the floor to the ceiling so that people know where they're going at all times. You're planning when the team walks out, you're planning in what order, you know, at how many seconds is the next person coming out so that everything is in order. And you really are truly providing an exceptional experience to every person that walks through that door. Even with security and with camera angles, there's so much that goes into it. And we have such an incredible team. We had people that traditionally are store managers, but have other experience working cameras for events like that. And everybody hops in and everybody truly contributes to the outcome, which when we all work hard and when we all do come together, it is an exceptional outcome.
It's amazing. So like, you know, you can go physically to one of the events, but also you can also watch them. And so where would you know, to some people maybe who are watching this now and who have never seen esports, where do you watch it? How does that all work?
Absolutely. So there's a lot of different platforms where you can watch. The big monster in the industry right now is twitch.tv. So we have twitch.tv/nerdstreetgamers. Now you see Mixer coming up, and Mixer has a lot of big names in esports streaming on Mixer. And now you see Facebook coming into the game a little bit more as well. And you can also stream on YouTube. So there's a lot of different platforms people can come into. And it is, I'm glad you talked about people not knowing what Twitch is, because that is, you know, another barrier of entry is what are these platforms and how do you get people involved? As we pivoted to online, for instance, and online has provided a tremendous opportunity for us in terms of growth. But getting people to play online, we are walking people through these different platforms that if they're a casual gamer, they aren't usually on. So for instance, Discord, which is very normal to people that are heavily involved in the esports community. But if you play Call of Duty at home with your friends and you want to just try an esports tournament, it can be intimidating. So our goal as Nerd Street Gamers is saying, you know, don't be intimidated. We're going to walk you through this. We're going to make sure this experience is great for you and that you're going to want to compete again.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I mean, I think one of the things, you know, when we get a lot of times when I'm sharing esports with different people, we talk about, you know, who are some of the big players in the esports industry. And I think, you know, a lot of times people are like, well, yeah, it's this thing, Twitch and Mixer and, you know, that kind of stuff, right? Well, the thing is that I think what a lot of people don't, you know, appreciate and don't realize what such a big industry this is that Amazon owns Twitch, right? Microsoft owns Mixer.
Yep.
You mentioned Facebook. You mentioned YouTube, which is really Google. So the biggest tech companies in the world are playing in this world of esports. And it's not just this little fly-by-night type thing that's going on. This is a big time industry. And it's really exciting to see what you and the team at Nerd Street Gamers have been able to do so far in this industry.
Thank you. It's been a wild ride, but it's definitely been an experience. I'm still learning every day. And I think that's one of the other things that I value coming into work every day is that I learn from each one of our teammates. And a lot of the people involved at Nerd Street Gamers are obviously big gamers, but they come from different communities. Our social media coordinator is heavily involved in Overwatch, and our designer is heavily involved in the fighting game community. And like I said, each one of those communities is so different in how they think and what appeals to them. And the diversity of thought is truly what's going to create success for Nerd Street Gamers. And I believe it's what's created the success for us so far.
It also sounds fun.
It's a lot of fun.
It always seems that way. I mean, your smile and the smile that I always sort of see with the whole team at Nerd Street when we get an opportunity to spend time together is really means a lot to us at 76 Capital. And again, Paige, thank you so much for joining us today. I mean, this is exciting. This is, this 76 Capital Leadership Series is all about, shining the spotlight on people like you who are doing the next thing within the sports industry. And certainly everything that's happening within the esports industry is the next thing. I see you're sitting on a chair with the.
Oh yeah.
I see the zip chair. So maybe tell us a little story what that's all about.
Yeah, absolutely. So Zip Chair Gaming is one of our biggest partners. They provide the gaming chairs for all of the local host facilities. And obviously, once we knew we were going to be home for a while for opportunities like this, we want to make sure our partners are always at the forefront. That and it's an incredible chair. So working from home, especially with the hours we work at Nerd Street, building this incredible company. I'm in this chair a lot, so I'm very fortunate to have it.
They're great chairs. They're really great and great partners of ours. Actually, maybe talk about some of the other partners at Nerd Street that you work with.
For sure. So we also work with Mike and Ike, who's the partner of the National Championship Series. Mike and Ike just like Zip Chair, and a lot of people talk about endemic, non-endemic brands coming in. Zip Chair is a little bit more endemic because of their gaming chair lines. But Mike and Ike, who's considered a non-endemic brand and working with us, have been absolutely incredible. They constantly trust us to be able to talk to our consumers in a way that's meaningful, in a way that's effective. So when we have fun with the videos we create for both Mike and Ike and Zipshare, I think it's different than anything they would ever create on their own. But they trust us to appeal to the gamer audience, and they've both been great. And we've given a lot of Mike and Ikes to a lot of happy gamers, so that's always a bonus.
Oh my God, are you kidding me? They're all in my car. I love them. Every time I see you, and you give me more Mike and Ike. So thank you, and that's awesome. That's awesome. I mean, I think that that's the exciting thing. Being able to bring brands like that into the world, into our world at Nerd Street. That's amazing.
Yeah, and it's a fast-paced world, like I said, with the platforms like Twitch, where it's very conversational. People are constantly in the Twitch chats talking nonstop. Same thing with Discord. Discord has closed channels as well as open ones, and it's platforms that non-endemic brands aren't completely familiar with and aren't comfortable with. And when we provide these, or when we have these strategic opportunities, we introduce them to this world and introduce them to the consumers.
Well, Paige, you have a lot of fans. I'm seeing a lot of these comments. People are cheering for you. They're calling, one that's my girl. That's, you're amazing at this. I see the A Train on here. I see, and John Powell, my partner at 76 Capital, he's saying he needs a chair. I don't know. We'll see what we could do, right?
That's my guy.
Right, exactly. We'll see what we could do. That's awesome. So actually, maybe this is a good time to talk about. So what's the relationship been for you and with 76 Capital, our fund, and how being the one of the investors in the company and being pretty involved in the business, what's it been like working with our team at 76 Capital?
Yeah, I will say the proactiveness of your team, just on a daily, weekly basis, depending on what's going on, has been phenomenal, because you guys in our relationship isn't just like a funding, no relationship. You guys, we want to hear what you think. You give us your thoughts. You're obviously making relationships and opportunities for our team, and it's very transparent, which I think is my favorite part about it. You and I think when we first talked was at the mini golf outing. I don't even remember. That was probably last summer or so. And immediately off the bat, you and your team were asking me questions about the direction of the brand and what you guys wanted to see out of the direction of the brand. And, how can we make this the biggest and best esports organization, in existence? So it's been an incredible relationship. And we're so fortunate to have you guys and have you guys be so involved heavily in a way that helps direct some of the decisions.
Well, I mean, that's truly what we try to do. And I really, that's great to hear that, you feel that way, and we want to do more. I mean, we really want to do more. We want to be able to do, whatever we can to help because, certainly your success is our success. And it's been amazing to watch all the things that you've been able to do. Maybe you can share a couple things, like what's coming up at Nerd Street Gamers over the next couple of weeks, and what are some of the things that you're excited about now?
Yeah, absolutely. So things we're working on right now, we're continuing to do online tournaments, which, like I said before, has been an incredible opportunity for us. Our membership growth has been, over 1,000% in just the past 3 months, because we are now able to market to a wider audience across the United States. And I also think it's a testament to how we're running our online tournaments, where we're trying to eliminate that intimidation factor, and talk to our consumers where it's like, hey, you play video games, let's take it to the next level. Let's have you compete, and bringing them their first esports experience. So you'll absolutely continue to see that. Other stuff we're working on is obviously what localhost looks like when we return to the new normalcy. So making sure our consumers are safe, and also, more importantly, feel safe every time they're walking into one of our facilities.
Yeah, I mean, look, that's something that it's going to be so big. I mean, one of the things that was so amazing about Nerd Street, pre-COVID, I guess, was this idea that you could come in and inside of a Nerd Street, you would be able to play on the best computers, right? I mean, and we'll still have those, right? And they're the great zip chairs that you get to sit in and while you're playing, and you have this great connectivity. But you know what? One of the things which I think, even before all of this, it was always a welcoming place. It was a safe place. It was a place where people could enjoy, bring their friends. I mean, because one of the things I think that a lot of people are unaware of, I guess, is that a lot of these games are not just, you don't just play by yourself. Mm-hmm. And you have a team of people. And that's something that it was really interesting to watch over the last couple of years, just the teams that come in and people that come in, and how, how you run, these places and local hosts where the guys play. So where, all the players play. It's been amazing to see. And it'd be really exciting to hopefully we're getting out of this soon, and we're coming in and around to being back in person again, because I can't wait. I can't wait for that.
Yeah, us either. And back to the in-person gaming, because again, one of the worst stereotypes about esports is how it's a toxic environment. And being able to play in person, from ages 13 to 25, when you're playing in person, you're not going to react the same way as you would behind a computer. So you're truly learning leadership. You're learning communication in these team games. You're learning how to face adversity and how to handle yourself when things don't go your way. And all of those lessons are taught within localhost. Right now, and you were involved last year at our camps. I remember you were a guest speaker. That was when I first started as well. Right now, what we're pivoting to is providing online camps. So still teaching kids those same skills they would learn in a local host in terms of teamwork and leadership and one-on-one coaching, but taking it online to pivot to what the world has thrown at us recently.
That's interesting. So you talk about the summer camps. So what happens at a Nerd Street Gamers summer camp? And maybe share that with someone. And then also, how do you find out about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can go to localhost.gg/camps to learn about our summer camps. What we are primarily focusing on right now is the online side. So you have a curriculum Monday through Friday, and it's broken up into each hour, even including lunch. So it's an extremely detailed curriculum, just to show parents that their kids just not on there playing video games. We're going to be having esports seminars in those online camps. We're going to be having individualized coaching. And a big part of this with online and making the parents comfortable is introducing them to the coach. Here's your coach, giving the option of whether or not they want video, because some parents are not comfortable with that. And that shouldn't prevent a kid from being able to participate. So it's something we did extended research on how to make this the best product possible, how to not only have a kid walk away wanting to come back to camp localhost, but also introducing the parents to what structured esports looks like and what competitive esports looks like, and providing them with an opportunity for their kids to be engaged on a Monday through Friday basis in a structured and positive environment.
It's really awesome to experience that and see that. And I'll never forget, going in and speaking with the kids, and they couldn't wait. Like, they could not wait until I was done. And then, and the minute I was done, they were back on the computers. They had their headsets on. Boom, yep. Right? They were locked in. But it was really great group of kids, and it was also really exciting to see how excited they are about the industry and the things that what you're able to do now. I mean, so the ages of the kids that go to camp or what are the typical ages?
We have opportunities for kids ages 10 to 18. And it is broken up for 10 to 13 and then 14 to 18.
It's really exciting, and really, and you can, let people know at such a young age that what the opportunities are. What's been surprising for you within the world of esports over the last almost year now?
It's a great question. I think the most surprising thing is just how much exists within it. I'll even admit, coming into it, I had a little bit of a stereotype of esports was just like one kind of gamer audience, if that even makes sense. Like, there are just gamers and my job's going to be to market to them. And then when you really dive in, you find out, which I touched on earlier, how different each community is, how much they each operate. As a marketer, finding the platforms to use for each community. So for instance, Facebook, the Counter-Strike community doesn't really touch Facebook. But the Smash community and FGC, which is fighting game community, do have Facebook groups that people are heavily engaged in. Some communities use Twitter. Some communities are just heavily in these Discord servers. So just unwrapping all the layers of what esports is. And as soon as I think I have something figured out, something new comes out, like Valorant, for instance, which is this whole new thing, which has been super popular with Counter-Strike as well as Overwatch players. But it's definitely kept me on my toes from day one through this moment, and it's an experience. It's rapid fire at all times.
Well, maybe dig in a little bit on that, right? I mean, so again, on our 76 Capital Leadership series, we always want to hear from the experts in the sports industry, and you talk about different ways to market. Is it a lot of trial and error, or you're like, okay, I want to use this? How do you do it? How do you do it?
Yeah, it's very interesting, and I'll be completely transparent. I lean on my teammates a lot. Like I said, we have a group of people that cover every community out there, and if I'm stuck somewhere, I directly ask them for help. I will say what's interesting though is seeing the picture of how esports exists right now and where each community lives, and catering to it, and providing what those people want to see, but also shaping what the next 5 years looks like. You know what I mean? So the next 5 years of esports competitors who, could be really young right now. They could be ages 10 to 13 to 14 to 15, and shaping what the experience is going to look like for them.
Well, it must be tough. I mean, you think about it as, you're working with, at Major League Baseball, it's baseball, right? That's what you're all about. Here with esports, it's esports, but it's, when you say different communities, you're talking about literally different games. It's almost like baseball and soccer and football. I mean, these are completely different animals.
Yeah, absolutely. If I'm trying to pitch a Smash event to somebody that plays Counter-Strike, it's like you trying to sell a football helmet to a swim team. It doesn't translate well, and if anything, leaves a bad taste in their mouth. So that's been the most exciting part for me, is understanding each different consumer and what their needs and wants are, and what they would want out of Nerd Street Gamers. So
for you personally, what are some of your hopes and dreams from a professional level, whether that's right now with Nerd Street and just in general? What do you hope to be able to do over your career as a marketer?
Yeah, absolutely. So one thing I always take very seriously, and what I'm always trying to learn is leadership. I constantly ask for feedback about my leadership, and I don't consider leadership as how you interact with employees that are beneath you on your team or anything like that. I think leadership translates across the board. How you talk to colleagues, how you talk to those who are in higher positions than you, those who are in lower positions than you. So I definitely look forward to growing just in my leadership skills and being an effective leader. my ultimate title goal is obviously Chief Marketing Officer. Nerd Street Gamers, I can't wait to see where it goes in the next, year, 2 years, 3 years. We obviously, if I were to write down on paper what our plans are within the next year, I think I would have an anxiety attack because it's so much and it's so exciting and there's so much for us to do, I should say. And then after that, it's really the sky's the limit, and I'm just so excited to be a part of this team.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. And Paige, thank you so much. And I think that's a great way to wrap up tonight's 76 Capital Leadership Series. You'll get that chief marketing role. I'll talk to some people. I know some people.
Thank you.
But I'm really, really proud of all the things that you've done, as well as the whole team. It's a great thing to see just across the overall esports industry, going around and talking with people in the industry all across the United States, quite frankly, even around the world. People know Nerd Street Gamers. And one of the things that they talk about with Nerd Street Gamers is they're good people and they do what they say, and they get things done. And that's something that I'm just so proud of all the things that you've been able to do so far.
Thank you.
Congratulations. And I just want to mention, before we wrap up tonight, tonight's Wednesday night, we have our 76 Capital Leadership Series on Wednesday night at 7:00. We also do our leadership series at 7:00 on Sunday nights. And this Sunday night, Paige is a tough act to follow, but this Sunday night we have Phil Martelli, the former coach at St. Joe's and now the associate head coach at University of Michigan, along with his son, Philip Martelli, who is the assistant coach at Bryant University. So it's going to be a father-son, which will be a lot of fun. I'm not sure if I'll get a word in edgewise with those two, but it'll be a lot of fun. Really excited about that. And then next Wednesday night at 7:00, bringing on, I call her the queen of sports betting, Sarah Slane. Sarah is really one of the experts in all of sports betting. She works with major companies today, used to be at American Gaming Association, is really one of the people responsible for the fact that we now have regulated sports betting in the United States, and is now advising some of the biggest companies in the world on the whole idea of sports betting now in a regulated fashion. So again, want to thank Paige Funk, the director of marketing from Nerd Street Gamers, one of our portfolio companies at 76 Capital, for joining us tonight on our 76 Capital Leadership Series. Thanks, Paige, and hope everyone has a great night.